Hey my friend, here's your heads up to this longer podcast. It's not that long, but it's all about the anxiety of getting things wrong. Or fire, ready, aim. What? Fire, ready, aim. That's not the right way, is it, Cluffy? It isn't the right way, but it's what we sometimes do, which then cause failure, and there's no such thing as failure, but it causes things to go wrong, doesn't it? And overwhelm, and all those syndromes, and a lack of confidence, and more anxiety, and low self-esteem. And it doesn't have to be that way, because there's better ways. And in this podcast, I'll go through those better ways. If that's important to you, let go of that anxiety, get some confidence, come with me. Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. So pleased you're here. Your time is valuable and precious. So what I would like to do is fill that time that you share with me with the most shiny golden nuggets to help improve your life, to get your goals, your wishes, your dreams to come to fruition quicker, bigger, better than you could ever imagine, using your imagination, using hypnosis, using NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, all of that, using all things of the mind. No brain hacks, but real solid processes to deconstruct what people do to become great. And then find the processes that we can install that in ourselves to support you in your dreams and get what you really want in life. Anyway, who am I? I'm Paul Clough, and just going to have conversations with you in this podcast and get you thinking, but also share those processes because we're going to have so much fun. That's it. We're going to have fun for a change because we can sit down for a spell and have more fun than we can stand, creating the world we want to live in and be the person we want to be in that world. The only limitation is your imagination. And you got bucket loads, by the way, bucket loads. Have a listen. You really must.
Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey friend, I don't think this is going to be that long. It might be. I don't know. You see, it's called anxiety of getting it wrong. I also was thinking about talking about ready, fire, aim. And you will notice, if you've been listening to a lot of these podcasts, there will be a little bit of repetition. Because I know I've spoken on these topics before. But the thing about that is that's not a problem. Not a problem to me. Because I know that if I speak about a similar subject, again, it'll be different. It'll be different because no one can repeat the same thing twice. And also, I'm a different person since then. I've probably learnt some more. I've probably dropped some stuff out of the way because it wasn't, maybe no more useful. No more useful? Maybe it's not useful anymore. But you're also, when you listen to it, if you, like me, when you read a book, you go, that's brilliant. And then 12 months later, you pick that book up again and you look through some of the pages and you go, I don't remember any of this. This is new. How did I miss this? Well, you didn't miss it. It's just that you weren't in that right place to understand it because you were busy understanding the earlier bits, the things that you needed to get down first before you could take on the more detailed stuff. So this could be that too. But you see, ready, fire, aim. You see, you've got to think about that because that's failure, isn't it? And that's what a lot of us do. We think we're ready, we fire, and then we wonder what we're aiming at. And that's where I want to dive a little deeper on this. You see, a long time ago, when I was in this other business, this other world, this other life, I used to have a partner. And if we had a problem, he would send me away. Not literally, but he knew I would go away. And I'm an options person, so I would go through that problem. And I'd go through, well, here's option A, the first option. I can see this is the problem. This is what we need to do. Here's some issues I can see that we'll need to mitigate. And, okay, not sure about that. Let's do option B. And when I did option B, I could see the problem maybe slightly differently as well. But I looked to find different solutions. And there were some things that needed mitigating there. So we got option A, option B, and then I did option 3. And I'd do that. And sometimes I got to option 5. And when I got to over 3, I was in overwhelm. I just couldn't. I'd have all those pieces of paper out. My mind was fried. So I knew where the aim was, ish. I knew we had to fire, but I just couldn't steady or ready myself. And I'd sit down with Mike. He'd look through them all. And the great thing about that was he could look through them at a distance, as if he was dissociated, like a meta view looking down on them. And most of the time he would say, unless there was one completely bonky one, because I always put a bonky one in. He said, well, where's your bonky one, Cluffy? Well, it's this one. He said, well, we'll put that to one side. There'll be some good stuff in there somewhere. But it's not the one we're going to go with, I'm sure. But we'll have a little look. Bit bonky. But there's some good stuff in there. But he goes, which one out of the lot do you really think is going to work? Intuitively, which one? And I said, well, I think it's more of B, with maybe a little bit of 3 thrown in. So let's go for it then. I said, well, you haven't gone through it in detail. He said, but you have, Cluffy. And we know where we're going to go now. We have a plan, because you've gone through it. You've mitigated most of the stuff. And if anything comes along, you and I will see where we're going, and we'll change it before it becomes a problem. And we've also got that bonky one, which we're going to look at to see what are the little gems in there that we could add to this and make it go. So Mike trusted me for going through it. I trusted his intuition, which was really just saying, which one do you want, Cluffy? And it always just seemed to work. But I was in overwhelm because I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted black and white solution. Here's a problem, here's a solution. And sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Well, most of the time it doesn't happen that way. But we can move. We can make some momentum. And when that momentum starts, then we can carry it on. You see, I had a meta view on this. Things just don't go wrong. They just don't go wrong, just like that. There's always a reason. And when we understand that, then we can really fire. You see, here's this is a real bonky thing that I did once. And this is where I went, basically, what did I do? I suppose I did fire, ready, aim. I think I did it that way around because it was, all over the place. I was sitting here, not here, it's back in Cambridge in the UK, sitting in my lovely quiet place in my garden, nice and early in the morning, no one around, my cup of coffee. I think I might have had a cigarette at those days, but I sat down quietly, doing my journaling. And as I was doing it, I had this wonderful bit of intuition which says, do you know what, Cluffy? The world needs a relationship site. What? Yeah, it needs a relationship site. And I can't remember. It was such a great name I come up with. It's so great, I can't remember it now. And I thought to myself, and I'm the person to offer all this help to all these people who are so bad or badly off in their relationships. They need help. So I ran upstairs, went onto the domain finder. Yes, that name is free. It's serendipity. That name's free. Well, it's such a bonky name. No one was ever going to use it. Didn't think about that at the time. I was caught up in this firing. And I went straight in. I bought it. I then sat down and secretly, because I had to do it secretly, because my sons who knew how to do websites would look at mine and go, Dad, please leave it alone. But I wasn't going to stop. I was firing literally on all cylinders. And I got it up within the bottom of that day. Everything was running. Lovely little contact form. Come to Paul. He's going to solve you all your problems. Do you know what? I bought that site for 3 years. And the renewal came up. I think I might have renewed it again for another year, just in case. But whatever happened, whether it was then or the year later, I took it down. Why'd you take it down, Cluffy? It was such a good idea. Because no bugger came to it. And if they did, they didn't stay. It was absolutely bonky. But the thing is, I also knew it wasn't really me. I got fired up, and I fired, and I aimed of a sort to somewhere. I don't know. I certainly wasn't ready, and I wasn't really ready for it for me. I could have helped people with relationships, but I wasn't. That's not my bag. Or it's not my real love when I come to the therapy side. So you see, one of those things, you see, because other people might have put that one off too, because it had to be 100% perfect. In my mind, that was, by the way, because I was firing and firing and firing. It was 100%. No one else thought that, did they? But never mind. But my question is to you. Well, really, it's to me. Do you have to get super ready? 100% ready? Maybe 110% ready before you press that button and fire on anything? I know a lot of people, there are other people who can just fire. Now, I know that for every exception in either of those, there's a rule. And every rule proves the exception. I love the other one. There's an exception to every rule. But hey-ho. Some people do need to get 100%, 110% ready. And guess what? They never fire. Some people just fire. And like me, miss the bloody target completely. It's lucky I had Mike with my 110% on all my options. But you see, when you... Either way of that, I think, sometimes. Certainly when you have to be 110% ready, it does lead to overwhelm. And that overwhelm leads to fear. And that fear leads to anxiety. And all of that comes to procrastination. Because it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Or if we just fire, then it's not perfect. But then we get into overwhelm and fear and anxiety because things aren't working. It was such a great thing. Luckily enough, I had better things to do, for me personally. But I've seen other people who were fired, and this was the thing that was going to make them, and they put all their money, process, everything they've got into this one thing, but they didn't think it through. I think we've all heard, seen, read about things like that, haven't we? You see, I have a thing that, okay, you have this thing, we have an intention to have things perfect, which is good-ish, never be perfect, but we have the intention to be perfect because our unconscious mind doesn't want to, or want you or me to suffer failure, the feeling of failure, the emotion of failure. And that leads to, all those other blooming things of, I don't know, syndromes and imposters and I'm not good enough and all that stuff. Yeah? So the unconscious mind doesn't want you to feel a failure. But guess what? That overwhelm, that fear, that anxiety leads to procrastination because we're just not ready. It's not perfect yet. And guess what? That ends up to, just like procrastination, unless there's a bloody deadline, leads to giving up. And guess what? That leads to the feeling of failure. Exactly the thing your unconscious mind didn't want you to have. And that's where conflicts come from. And the thing is, if we knew something that I'm going to go through, and it's not the only thing, it's just my thoughts, it could have been great. You see, I had a side note here. It says, what I want to tell you. And the thing is, what I wanted to tell you was, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to matter. And I want you to feel that you just understand this a little better. That's all. Have a little better understanding of the why around this. You see, I know I talk about well-formed outcomes. And probably you're going, oh, he's going to talk about them again. And I will keep talking about them. But like Gary Vaynerchuk says, he has the same message and he's told it 10 million times, just slightly differently. But a well-formed outcome works. It's like a skeleton of reminders. And if the thing that you want to have happen, if it fits around that skeleton, it'll probably work. But it won't be 100% perfect. It won't be worked out 100%. But it'll probably work because it's well formed. Now, if you want to listen to that, I'm sure you can Google that or search that in the podcast apps, or go to my the free hypnosis, and you'll see there's one called there, well-formed outcome. Can't remember what the number is. And then you go to the number on it, listen to the episode, and then listen to the hypnosis. And you can have that with every project. But anyway, that's not really the point of this. I'm just saying that's a good start, because it means that you're getting ready. It will never be 100%. It will never be 100% perfect. But I say, if you wrap your project around it and get those little boxes in your head ticked off, the information there, when you put it together, you will have a bloody good chance of making this work. You see, one of the questions before that, though, because again, I could have had a well-formed outcome about my relationship site, and it would have all worked. But there's one thing missing. It has to matter. As I said before, it has to matter. So it has to be, the question, or the answer has to be, are you doing this for you? And there's two sides of this project, or this thing. One is via entrepreneurial, and I'll talk about that in 1 second. But first of all, is this for you? And what I mean by that is, are you doing it because others think that you ought to? You know, we've talked about clash of values and things like that, but you're just following other people's beliefs, other people's, well-meaning advice, but they're not you. They haven't got this thing in their intuition, this idea. So they don't know it. They're going on their past experiences and not yours. But you have to be doing it for you. Because if you're not, you will not complete it. But the thing is, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to think, are you doing it just for you? A bit like my relationship site. I was doing it for me, really. And that's why it didn't work. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you need to be doing it for others. Others' wants, but also their needs. And there's a slight difference. Sometimes what we need is not what we want, but we still need it. And you have to put the two together, I think. So if you're an entrepreneur, you've got this thing. You have to make sure that you're not just doing it for you, your ego. So you need to look at what others' wants and needs are. Who are your audience? Who are your I can't remember the name of the thing now, but it's that avatar. That's the word. Who is your avatar? The avatar of your the people you're supplying, the people who will be buying your stuff. Okay. So we'll dive deeper in that, I'm sure. I want to, because it's really interesting. But you think, I am doing this for me. This is really my personal passion, as it were. This is something I want to do. But you also have to think, well, what do I want to achieve by this? Because again, on that relationship site I didn't know what I wanted to achieve at all. Again, it was very ego-driven, I think. It was big up Cluffy. I think hopefully I've gone away from that now. But just think, what do you want to achieve? I suppose you could call that, maybe just get a little bit more specific in what you want, know what you want, maybe know when you want it, but that's all going to be part of that well-formed outcome. But I think before you actually get to that well-formed outcome, you just need to know what your aim is. Oh, there's an aim now. So we've got to get our aim first, haven't we? So we get our aim first because we know what we want to achieve. And yes, it's of value to us. It's important to us. So we know now we're going to get the motivation. And the thing is, some people might say, oh, I don't have the confidence. Oh, well, I do have that confidence program. You could always go to paulcloughonline.com and have a look at that. Money back guarantee. Time period is longer than or shorter than the time period for the money back, so you get it. That's beside the point. If you know you want what you want to achieve, that's your intention, isn't it? And confidence comes from our personal intention. Because if you really intend to do something, we will have the confidence that somehow, some way, we'll get it. We know the why. And when we know the why, the how will follow. It always does. Because it's so important to us. This is our intention. So it's a value. It's important. And now our confidence comes from intention. That was a little snippet from Jordan Peterson, which I go along with 99%, because I also think, because he was saying results do not give you confidence. Well, I think when you have confidence in your intention and you start getting results, that boosts your confidence and boosts your intention, doesn't it? It's like a loop that just keeps getting more and more intensive in that wonderful feeling. But it does start with intention. You have to have intention. So again, if you're looking at things of what have gone wrong maybe, what was your intention? Ask yourself, get your puzzle book out. What was your intention? Did you know? Because certainly on that relationship side, I didn't really know at all. I didn't think about it. I think I had the name, which I've forgotten, of the site, which was more important to me than anything else. And also put a few hearts on it as well. Hearts on the website, which was absolutely bonky, wasn't it? But everything starts with intention, and it's our intention, no one else's. And we need to understand it. And when we understand it, we can start to get ready. Oh, we've gone from, we have an aim, and now we're ready. Sometimes, is it ready, aim, fire? Or aim, ready, fire? I don't know. We've got to get ready. And aim a little bit, you see. Because it's somewhere between the two. I get totally confused. So this is how I think what we do, is we get ready, we aim a little bit, and fire a little bit. And you see, what does that mean? How can you fire a little bit, Cluffy? Well, what that is taking those little steps, isn't it? We're not going to do, like I did, jump in, all guns blazing, another metaphor there, but we jump in 100% with intention and confidence in our intention, but we've worked out the baby steps because we've gone through that well-formed outcome and we've set our plan in motion, or we've scheduled our plan out. And then we aim some more, and then we fire some more. And we've got that flexibility. And a bit like Mike, he would take that dissociated meta view. You can do the same when you review what you're doing. You can look down upon it and go, yeah, are we on target? Yeah, we are. Are we on time? Yeah, we are. Is there more we could do? Yes, there is. Oh, no, we're not on target. Let's just get a bit more flexible. Do we want to, review? Is our intention still rock solid? And it's all about checking and reviewing. And the thing is, this is just simple simples. Because in simplicity, there's genius. But I just wanted you to, if maybe you understood all of this, and if you did, that's awesome. But it's always good to get it chunking away in your brain, I think, because I have to think about it every time I do it. I have to come back to it. Because if we get lost in this, it just leads to disappointment, doesn't it? And when we learn from it and learn from our experiences, it just makes that feeling of confidence in your intention and the progress that you make so much better. And guess what? You tend to end up with the result you want or better, which makes you feel good, which is now an experience you can build upon, learn from, to do your next thing. And the funny thing is, well, it's not funny, Cluffy, you're not going to laugh at this, but you do it in one context of your life, and your unconscious mind will take that sort of process and apply it to different areas, so different, because everything, well, I don't have projects. Yes, you do. Everything you do is a choice with an aim in mind. And if your unconscious mind can start to sift through this, you're going to get better results. And the better results you get, the better life is, I guess, isn't it? So I know I've spoken about this before, and I know I haven't spoken about it before like this. So I hope you enjoy that. I mean, hopefully you do. And maybe if you want more, we're going to do that deeper dive on the entrepreneurial thing, knowing your avatar, knowing your wants and needs. But these little things that cause anxiety, cause a lack of confidence, cause, I call it unconfidence, cause low self-esteem and disappointment. And then you get that fear, anxiety, procrastination, all that stuff. If you want more of that with processes and processes that we can adapt to show you how you can adapt a process, let me know. You know the email, it's personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. No, it isn't, is it, Cluffy? No, it's feedback at personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. Just send me a little email, and I'd love to know what you thought. Did I have crystal clear clarity? Did it make a difference? Is there something you thought about that made a difference? I don't know if the FMQ will come out before this or after this, but there was one little thing that I heard that I shared with somebody, and it was literally a couple of words. And it got them to think, and it made a difference in their life completely. Completely. And not only completely in their life, but to their husband and the rest of their family. Just 2 words. I'll tell you which one that is because I haven't recorded it yet, but I don't know which one comes out first. Anyway, have more fun than you can stand. And my one and only, and I know people say, don't give too many calls to action, which I haven't done, but they say, change them. No, I don't. I just want you to share this, if you could, because I think it's important, because some people, they might not get the ready, aim, fire. In fact, it was ready, fire, aim, wasn't it? But they will get the anxiety of getting it wrong, or they think they've got it wrong. They will get the feeling of being a failure and don't understand why. It's more about understanding how, and then how to change it. So if you would just share this and they get a little golden nugget too, maybe change their lives, you'll have done a wonder for them. Absolute wonder. Because you'll be a star in my eyes. And what do stars do? They fly in the sky. So now it's time to fly away. Bye-bye now. Have more fun than you can stand. Ta-da.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.